Hello, everyone. My name is Steve, owner of Red Rock Roofing, where our motto is Standing for Greatness. And I am your host of Standing for Greatness in the Mile High, where we are looking to inspire and be inspired by local influencers in the communities on how they stand for greatness. Welcome to our very first episode where I have Austin Wickham and Andy Taylor, two of our very best guys from under our own roof here at Red Rock Roofing. So, guys, I just want to introduce you first. Austin Wickham. He's one of our youngest guys, upcoming star. I met Austin when he was around 20 years old. Austin, I remember when you first came in, you were just diamond studded earrings, probably working at Amazon, something like that. I don't really
I was,
remember.
yeah, living my best life in an Amazon truck here, right?
Just had your a child with Lauren, who I know very well now, and getting to see you kind of come up in the roofing industry, what we'll talk about, and then Andy Taylor here. He's one of our old dogs, and he's been with us for about 9 years, and I've seen Andy's life change dramatically in many ways. And I know Andy even from Andy and I used to work at the tax industry and tax law together, and actually used to play ping pong in a garage somewhere until the sun went down on most weekend days. And here we are both sitting here, families and everything else. So, guys, welcome to our very first episode. Thanks for joining me, first of all. And
Thanks for
looking
having
to
us.
inspire, and I can't think of two better guys really to inspire not only what they've done for themselves personally, but also what they've done for their families, for their communities, for each and every person in life that they touched, and just watching their journey here. And so, Austin, if you wouldn't mind just telling the people, a little bit about your journey and what that looked like when you first got here, and where you're at today, and what that's
Yeah.
done for you.
Yeah, I'll be pretty brief. So I started in 2020, 2021. We had no hailstorm. We still are team oriented. We were knocking doors. It was super grateful because any other company where I started that young, they wouldn't, I'd be out the door within seconds. It took me quite a bit of time, 6 to 7 months, to really get going and learning from Andy, Brandon, all of them. So the process has been awesome. We're super, super involved in the community, and I think that's what makes our job so easy, is because we're able to go to local community events, sponsor, organizations, and just get out there and show them, we're not just a roofing company. We're really, in the neighborhoods helping homeowners out. So I think from, not even a sales perspective, we're just super, super involved in the community. And I think that's what drives us to be the best we can be.
No, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more, though. What I'm curious about is like who you were as a person then, from the day you walked in that door. And I remember I sat Austin down, and he said he had these diamond earrings and these, and always wear shorts. And I said, hey, you're pretty young. Why don't we take out the earrings, throw on some boots, and get you looking the part? And we kept giving him time, and it was about 6 months when we sat him down and did that. And I got to tell you, it wasn't long after that something flipped in you. Tell me
Yeah.
about like who you were when you came into this,
Yeah.
and like who you see yourself as today, like the difference.
Yeah, so I honestly just a kid that just had a kid, messing around through job to job, didn't go to college. So I came in here thinking it was just a regular job where I clocked in, clocked out, and over the next couple of months, they started saying, "Hey, do this, change this, go do this," and eventually it kind of kicked with me. I was like, "Holy cow, I can make a serious like live-in career, and I actually have a family here." And what I mean by that is like we all support each other. So like I had guys invite me to go knock when I was, there, and I wasn't strong at the door. So then I kind of leaned into the social media preference, and it's been a true blessing. I feel like now at year almost 5 in a couple months, I've really, became closer to my family. I'm able to sell at a high level, give back to the community. I'm involved in so many community stuff, mental health alliance. I'm the social media guy there, and then the Broomfield Chamber, where we're the preferred roofer of the Broomfield Chamber, I'd say. So I think starting off not knowing what to do, but with the guidance of over the last couple of years from the team at Red Rock has really changed me, and ultimately made me a better dad for sure.
Yeah,
So
that's one of the biggest things I've loved seeing you growing
yeah,
is just, as a husband and a dad, and just everything that you're doing, and just I couldn't be more proud of you. So,
yeah,
Andy, same thing with you. Coming over, I'd like to hear a little bit about your journey as who you were, kind of how you started. I know things have evolved a lot since you first started, as almost a decade ago. What does that look like for you, and how has it changed your life? And as someone who just bought another new house today, yesterday, something like that, what's all that look like for you?
I've been in sales a long time, and you can see yourself going from job to job and staying within the sales industry and how you grow with that, right? How do you become someone that knows what they're doing? How do you make it something you want to get up and go and get up an elevator every day to sit at a desk job? I had found myself probably year 10 in the tax industry where I didn't feel good about what I was doing anymore. So I think where I really wanted to get was somewhere I could be helping people every single time I show up to a house, or if even I'm on the phone. The way I feel in roofing nowadays, and what's really changed me, is that knowing that when I go to sit with a client, I'm actually helping them. Steve, we were in tax resolution, and it's not even a great place to be if you don't like your job in the morning. How do you even consistently do it? Now, even being good at it doesn't mean anything for me. I'm great at doing roofing, but the biggest thing that strives for me is when I go and help somebody, and in the end, they're extremely happy that I was there, and they have a finished product that's just absolutely amazing to see when they come to their home.
Yeah, no, I think that's all good points. I know from being in the tax industry, when you can sell with conviction and you're actually helping somebody and you're not going to back charge them on the back end and all the different great things that this service provides, and taking somebody that was stressed to making it an easy process, how that's, you can wake up every morning and do that. If there's anything I know about you, you are very competitive, you're very driven, and you're very passionate, which leads you to being the best at everything you do. Andy's also a professional disc golfer. He's one of the best ball golfers. Racing this guy on Unser Racing, I mean, just trying to stay in front of him is a feat in itself. So whatever he's doing, he's always going to be competitive. How do you usually take all that competitiveness and passion and drive and harness that here where you can still kind of bleed into the team? And how has that also helped you to be, one of the top sales guys in my eyes in the roofing industry over the years? Is that something you've had to learn to harness? Is it something you've had to learn how to mold? I mean, tell me a little bit about that journey and what that's done for you here.
Yeah, again, I think it starts with when you wake up, do you enjoy what you do? Is the day only built on making money? Is your goal to do the best you can at helping out the people around you, the people you're servicing, and whatnot? So for me, when I wake up in the morning, I love to, and Austin will attest to this, that going to get into my truck, which is my office, and being willing to go out there and service the people that are expecting you to do a great job. Give them quality customer service and then follow up at the end.
That's awesome. Yeah, I learned a long time ago the byproduct is the money of everything else. That's why these guys know me. I'm never focusing on numbers. Character is my number one focus. From that, the money's always the byproduct. One saying I really created this year that kind of hit me is, I know you guys, especially young guys, how are we growing? What does growth look like? What does that look like? And I had to keep thinking about it. And these guys thought, we should have 15 guys. And I'm like, do you really want to compete against yourself? And those types of things. And so finally it hit me that I said, growth is not the amount of people you have or money you're making. It's about the amount of impact you have, whether it's on your team or your communities, your families. And, somebody once told me a long time ago, these guys hear me say it all the time, is if your guys on your team are buying homes, having kids, getting married, then you've made it. That's the kind of team you want around yourself. Because our slogan here at Red Rock Roofing, our mission statement is driven with purpose, loving always and always within a culture of selflessness. So when you guys hear me say these things, so like Austin, when you've been here long enough and you've kind of learned some of these things, what do you consider growth to be now? What does that look like for you? Not only personally, but as a company, what do you see that as how are we affecting the community? How are you partaking in that and things like that versus just what a lot of people might assume to be growth, right?
Yeah. I think, especially this year, it's my first official year being a senior project manager. So growth for me is getting all these guys that where I was to, get where I was, basically helping them out in the field, going canvassing with them, showing them, hey, I'm still where you guys are. So people like Diego, Al, and all of them, it's super exciting when they set an appointment or they're going to these events and you're like awesome, or they're making content. So I think growth is passing my knowledge and what I know to these guys, and hopefully they surpass me, honestly.
I love that you said that.
Yeah.
Somebody once told me, one saying I always held tight to is a good leader is about bringing people under you,
Yeah.
above you. And that's what people look for in a good leader. So,
of course, I want to hit sales, right? Who doesn't? We're in sales. But at the end of the day, to see Diego set an appointment or do a video on his own without, telling him what to do, I think that's important.
So if what I hear you saying right, growth to you right now is really being able to get past what you've learned or encourage or inspire other people to be where you started and come to where you're at right now.
Yeah, because then we're, as a company, if those guys are growing, then we're all growing, right? If I'm so focused on myself and what I can do best and at a high level, then no one else is gonna come up with me. And I think if a couple of top dogs can help those other guys out, dude, then we're all gonna succeed.
As
right?
an owner, and even in your position, our success is directly related to the growth of the people underneath you.
Exactly.
Without a doubt. So,
Yep.
Andy, tell me a little about that for you too.
Obviously being with you since the start of this, I've seen the growth coming, and it all starts from the leader above, right? And it really kind of shows me where I want to be. And how do you support your guys and making sure they have the things that they need, the knowledge that they need to know, and things of that necessary. So passing that down to the people below you is really good. Being available for phone calls. If somebody has a question, let's say you're not available and someone needs to know a certain something, I'm always available for the guys.
Good. I love that.
Awesome.
So when you look at not only your individual growth, how do you guys, let's just talk about Red Rock for a minute. Where do you see the ultimate growth for Red Rock down the road, right? Like, I know I own it, but like if you guys were to envision what growth looks like for us as a whole, what does that look like? We'll start with you, Andy.
Yeah. Doing the necessary things to step up. The company can grow as far as it can, but it's got to be the people that are leading the way to show everybody how to do that.
Yeah.
Do we want to get up to the 30, 40, 50 million dollars a year? And not make it a storm that needs to get us there, right? Because we're just doing the greatest work that we can and servicing our community.
I think growth as a company is if we all keep helping the community of Colorado and we're all involved in communities in our area, I think the outcome is everyone's gonna grow together, and like Andy said, we'll be a 40-50 million dollar company without even having a storm. And I think we're already good without a storm. Like you said, man, like we're crushing the competition without a storm. We have referral partners with real estate agents. We're involved in community events, and it all just works itself around. So
yeah, I love that. Something that comes to mind is kind of like Flatiron's church. When you think of a church, they're all helping something. They're all being part of something, right? Little churches with little resources are still helping. But the larger you grow, usually a percentage of those resources is going to go out to help. So when you look at a church like Flatiron's church, they're a mega church. 10% of their resources is going to be a lot more than even, say, 50% of a small church's resource. So let's say they use 10 to 20% of those resources, which is what we do. How effective they are in the communities and even across the world, which is a dream of mine, is to be globally effective. And so when I think of growth for us, first of all, it's rounding out this table here is just making sure our culture within itself is not only fully rounded out, so that we're all rowing in one direction, which I think is really important. When we're all rowing in one direction, we all have the same vision, then we can really, get to those places. But as we grow, then a percentage of those funds also gets bled back into the communities. We're, actively one of the largest donors in 3 or 4 of the local schools around here. Churches and, communities like Refine for sex trafficking, things like that. The more we can grow, the more we can give back. And that's what I see as growth. And the more we can grow, the more guys like Austin or Andy we can bring in who can take their wives on great trips or provide for their kids and families where they didn't know how before, like Braden, where they're buying homes for their kids and then thinking about having more. When I think of growth, that's what I think of. Revenue is obviously what helps you get there, but ultimately having those visions and dreams, I think, is what carves the path to get there, right? So
Very grateful, very grateful.
Oh yeah.
Amen. So we'll kind of shift here. What's one failure that changed how you led or served others, and what did you learn from it? And Austin, I remember a couple of years ago, we've all kind of had to go through these learning curves and these failures,
Yeah.
right? And I told people it's up to you to climb out of the hole and learn from it and get to it. And so tell me a little bit about that journey with you and what you had to go through with that.
Yeah, I think one of the failures that I had, still 25 years old, so 2 years ago, we had this massive Erie hailstorm. Probably everyone remembers. Became so greedy of money and leads and deals, and I'm like, I got to get every single one so I can buy all this. And eventually, it was kind of a turnoff for some people, and I was like, you know what, that's not who I want to be. I want to be a good dad to Autumn. I want to spend time with my family. I don't want to be out 24/7. So I kind of took a step back, and I was like, if I give back, show people exactly what I do on social media, show the guys that just need a little bit more support, it would help. So I think for me is I got rid of the greed sales mindset, and I started focusing on everyone in the team, helping other guys go look at inspections for me, so then they can get paid on some stuff. And honestly, I think it's turned out super well. Lead gen just comes 10 times back to me just by helping other people.
Yeah, isn't that funny? Like when we think we're trying to get more, we get less.
We
And
get
then when
less.
we give more,
Yes.
we get more, right? Like how that's
Totally
like the
true.
old, universal saying here.
Yeah.
So, and guys, this is a very vulnerable question. Thank you for being vulnerable. And obviously, I know the answers to most of these because I've, got to either mentor or work with. I've found myself as a huge kind of big brother type situation.
Oh, might
with
as well
Austin.
be honest because you're right here. I'm just kidding.
So, no, I love that you're vulnerable, and I think that's great, and I think that's what helps you grow. So, Andy, what are some of the biggest challenges that maybe you've had to overcome to get your place, and just being one of the top sales guys once again, what are some of the challenges you've had to overcome, whether you've been self-inflicted or whatever the case may be?
That's not an easy question to answer when you've been doing what I do for so long. I would say this, more than I could let go and get out of my own way has been a challenge for me, and God has helped me in any way possible to see the difference between that and today.
Yeah. So for you, it's more just getting out of your own way in your own head, listening to a different voice.
No. I mean, like, stepping up to the challenge as opposed to just going day to day and going to every single inspection that's out there. Getting out of your own way and allowing people to help and service with what you do.
Delegating.
Yeah, exactly.
That's one way to grow. I'll tell you that right now.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be a good delegator. So, I've seen you
important.
both actually step up in that role. So, anybody that knows me knows that I always say consistency will get you there, or persistency will get you there. Consistency will keep you there. So I want to ask you both, and Andy, I'll start with you. What habits or routines help you stay consistent and tenacious when things get hard? Like, so, hail, it's easy, right? We're in the roofing world, and I'm sure with different industries, the market, how many realtors out there complaining about the interest rates and mortgage lenders, right? So like everybody's always, the economy, the housing market, whatever it is, the ones who press through, like Red Rock and especially you two, there's reasons for it. And it's not by complaining about what you don't have, it's about figuring out what you do have. So tell me a little bit about what habits and what's helped you stay at the top, even in years that say there's no hail.
Yeah, I think just being consistent, following up, and making sure you service in the best way possible, whether that be clients, realtors, insurance agents that you already know from the past that are using you regularly, and then also touching base with new ones and making sure that they know that we're out there. There are so many realtors across the Front Range that are either new at it or have been doing it forever. Some of them don't even have a roofer that they appreciate or like anymore, but they're just sending the stuff they have because they've been there. So even getting out in front of those people has been a blessing for me to even generating new realtors every single week, right?
So connecting yourself to power partners, obviously, and then giving elite customer service. I mean, it's a missing art form, tends to be out there, but I think it's becoming more prevalent, especially as AI and people are wanting to be more conscientious about their spending. They want to make sure that it's not just a transaction anymore, that it's an experience. And
Yep.
so providing that experience.
Yeah, very well said.
I love that.
I like that. That's your, mine has been mostly community events, sponsoring other communities in the area, but also a social media presence. My goal is, I want to spend the least amount of time. My time is valuable. I've realized over the years. Like I love going to dinner with my kid. I love hanging out with my family on the weekend. So in that week, I want to be able to figure out a way to reach tens to thousands of people without going out to every single event at night, every single coffee, every single lunch and learn. And so I think for me, it's more the social media. I can tell everyone what I do, what my life is like, basically through social media of where I'm at, who I'm meeting with, shouting local business owners on my page, so then they feel like they're getting eyes on their preference. So mine is probably time. How can I spend my time better? So
Let's talk about a little something that you brought up, social media, Austin. You're being very humble. 2 years ago, nobody knew you. Now, tens of thousands of people know you. What has that journey been like, and what does that look like to be that type of influencer on social media? And what do you think it is that people like about following you?
It was weird for a while. The last 2 years, I kind of got off a weird track of like watches and cars and all that stuff that doesn't matter. And now I have changed my social media into more of connecting with power partners. So like any coffee place I go, I introduce myself, I tag them on Instagram, they repost it, and then I get a couple more followers on there. So honestly, it's more of honesty, where I'm at and about. And I post my family all the time. People know who I am and my kid, Autumn, and all that. And I think it's, being honest and, like I said, just getting out there. Like I tell every single person, if you're slow on sales, this device right here, you pick it up, take a photo, everyone's on their phone. So people know who you are. So now it's, Austin, roofing, Red Rock Roofing. You try to correlate that name with the brand. So,
Yeah, you're creating your own brand,
Yeah.
and that ties into
Within
Red Rock Roofing. How many followers do you have right now?
10.9, 10.9.
So 11,000?
Yeah, almost 11,000 followers in
That's
4
not
years.
bad.
But yeah, that's not the goal to make anything off that. It's, you get time, right? I don't need to go do all those networking events because I can just post.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
When I got into roofing, one thing I realized, and that's one thing I try to spread, is that when you're in an industry that's can be lucrative if you do it right, which these guys are explaining every reason how you can do this right. The American dream, I found out, is time and money. You can have both. You can be with your kids. I am such a big father, family guy. These guys know I don't miss anything when it comes to family. And when you do it right and you are smart about it, when you think of an influencer, if there's any way that I can influence people in this, it's how to do just that. How to be a better dad, a better husband, how to have more time for yourself, and how to get and teach people how to do exactly that. Because truth be told, our kids need us now more than ever, what I'm noticing. And so watching dads like this find ways to be creative so that they can be there with their kids is extremely important to me. So I love hearing that, and I love seeing that, and that's probably one of my favorite things in life and brings me a lot of joy. So thanks for sharing that. Andy, you're kind of new coming up in this social media thing, obviously learning from the young guys. I don't really love it either. He's been obviously sharing his knowledge. How's that going for you when it comes to the social media, and what's that doing for you?
I honestly, I'm two years behind Austin.
Aren't we all?
So there's a lot to do there. I find Facebook is a lot easier than Instagram. Instagram is where you get leads. So, as an older guy, as you had kind of tagged me earlier, I try and stay in my lane, but do a little bit on the other side as well. So I don't get a lot from social media. I don't expect a lot from social media. I stick to what I do really, really well, and
Nice.
I think I'm doing great.
Yeah, you're doing,
Thank
I
you.
mean, no doubt about it.
Like you said, there's different ways of networking, right? There's people that do really well in environments, networking events. Some people that like the camera. So you kind of just find your own path of where you produce at, right?
Yeah, I think that's important,
yeah. There's no one way, right?
Some people like old American muscle. Some people like new EVs. I mean, they're both fast and they
That is
both
true.
work, and they both get across the finish line. It's what
Very true.
fits you the most,
Yeah,
So
you find that path.
I definitely agree with that. And so let's talk a little bit about our industry. Normally, if you guys were guests not in here, we talk about a different industry. But since we're here, Let's talk about roofing a little bit. What major shifts have you guys seen in the industry over the last few years, and how do you think those shifts are either currently changing your approach, or how do you foresee changing your approach as things continue to evolve? Obviously, AI is a big thing. Consumers are younger now. They're going to look at different things. Boomers are probably still the homeowners
Yeah.
that are making decisions. And so, how do we navigate still reaching the boomers, making sure that those are the actual buyers and consumers, but they're still a millennial, upbringing, even, I don't know what's after that, Gen X, Y, Z, I don't know, all coming up. And so, what are the shifts that you guys are seeing, and how are you adapting to that? Andy?
I think being more informational and educational instead of just trying to get a contract signed has been really helpful for customers to make an educated decision.
I agree.
So many people think they have time to get 5 estimates, but they really don't. And if you show them the real service on the first time, they don't need to get all those other estimates. The truth is we're never the cheapest, we're never the most expensive, but we're right there where we need to be to help the client to get a good roof at a good price and make sure in the end they don't have to worry about it anymore.
Andy, why don't you tell us real quick? We were talking about this earlier. What do you think is wrong with the person who calls in and just says, "Just give me an estimate"? I mean, this is a 20,000, let's call it $15,000 to $30,000 purchase. They just want an estimate. What would you tell that person if you could speak freely to them right now?
Let me preface it. They've probably talked to a couple of people that didn't ask them a single question. They didn't actually give them a reason to want to know what's the available, what are materials, and what is the process going from beginning to end. They're asking that specific question of, I just want a price, because no one's ever been able to even divulge into what they really want. And I think that's what separates Red Rock from most of the companies out there, is that we are actually going to help you decide what you want versus just going, okay, here's a price and hopefully I'm beating everybody. Most of the time, just beating people is not what they want. They're just not telling you, and you've got to ask those questions in order to figure out what do they really want.
It's funny. Well, our opening line when we meet with somebody is, "Hey, inspect what you expect, because everybody's suspect." So a lot of times our biggest troubled clients, and no offense to y'all out there, but the problem is you never sat down with us. And so when you don't sit down with us, we don't get to set our expectations. You don't get to set your expectations. You can just show up and basically do whatever you want. Now, when you're just getting estimates and those expectations aren't met on both sides, then there's just a lot of gray area for failure to happen. And so I would say sitting down with somebody, understanding the process, the procedure, the materials, and all that is extremely important. And it's not just about the price, right? If your home is your most expensive, thing you're ever going to buy in life, unless you're Austin here with expensive cars and watches, then I would say
don't forget
investing
Gucci
the
bags.
time to sit down and listen.
Like golf.
For those of you that are going to listen to this, Red Rock Roofing, we're not here to sell you. We're here to educate you. I understood a long time ago, I used to work at a gym, and there was the slam mentality. Did you slam them? Well, now they've got 10 gyms within a mile radius. They don't want to be slammed. This was 24-hour fitness. You had that in Bally's. Close the deal. Now they want to know why your gym, what amenities do you have, what hours are you open, do you have any enrollment fees? There's about 10 questions that go with the gym now that you have to educate something on. The same is with the roof, guys. You want to know our amenities, the products, the materials, the procedure, the timeline, the process, the cost. Let us sit down with you and educate you, not sell you. You make the decision. We don't want to ask you to sign. We want you to ask us, where do I sign? That's our goal at the end of it. So, Austin,
That's awesome.
tell me a little bit about the same thing.
Yeah. So obviously I'm a little bit younger. So sitting down with homeowners, I'll be honest, it's a little bit harder because.
And let me start with the first question,
Yeah.
because we just kind of went off on a tangent.
Yeah.
Then get to whatever you were getting to. But remember, the question was kind of like, what are the shifts that you see changing and how you're adapting? And obviously, being a young guy, you're kind of moving towards that social media. But do you see anything else that's shifting that you feel like you're going to have to shift within the industry?
Yeah, so 90% of my business through Red Rock is probably real estate agents. So over the last couple of years, it was send an estimate for the buyers, you have class 4, and they call it good. But now what I'm noticing is now it's price and then trying to get all the information, because I can't really sit down with a seller or a buyer. They don't really want to. They just want to get rid of their house. They want the best price possible. So now I have to, write a long email, and I'll utilize AI for real estate agents through emails of products and everything like that. Because if you think about a real estate agent, they call you right away. They want an inspection. They want a bid super, super quick. And so how can I be most cost effective within that, maybe hour or two that I get with that person? So my main goal is have everything in a detailed email. A detailed video inspection shows them exactly what they need so they can pass all that information over to whoever's making the decision so it's easiest for them. So I think, yeah.
I have actually found this to be true. I think you're right on line. Customers want more information without talking to us, and that's unfortunate, right? People are more buried in their phones.
Yeah.
They're less engaging. They're not really looking. They want things quicker. And so even as a company, more companies are moving towards we need to give prices on our website. So you need to be able to put in specific information. We can spit out prices. And so I think you nailed it.
Yeah.
We are going to, and I find that as unfortunate, but I never want to lose that direct experience of a genuine person. And
Yes.
so ensuring that you have genuine people, which I do, two of the greatest guys sitting here, I never want that to go away, but I think you do need to move in that case of giving people more information quicker, faster, and in a hurry.
Yeah.
And that's just where we're at. So, okay, anything else on that?
No.
One of the biggest things I see changing is that when you're dealing with insurance, they're trying their hardest to not work with you to give the client what they really, really deserve. So that's one of the trends that I see happening. Is insurance is getting harder, so we need to get better.
That's true.
Now, one of the pleasures I've actually had with both of you is honestly the way you guys have come up and grown, and I don't want to say I haven't done myself in certain areas of my life, but one of the biggest ways I've seen you guys grow that means something to me, that is kind of pushed you in this communal growth, wanting to be part of community, want to be part of your family, and as a leadership in this team is your spiritual faith. And so, Austin, tell me a little bit about like how your spiritual faith has grown over the last couple of years, how you've had to kind of navigate, like you said, greed. I know what it's like. You kind of find this success in life.
Yeah.
It kind of like throws you upside down for a minute, and then you kind of have to like, they say money doesn't change people, first of all, and the reality is it does, but only as long as you let it, right? You have to learn how to navigate, how that money, how you're going to live life with it, how you're going to spend it, how you're going to treat people with it, how you're going to treat yourself with it, how you're even going to identify yourself. Are you just going to identify yourself as somebody who's like, oh, I'm the rich guy, or I'm this guy, or whatever the guy is, or are you just going to say, hey, I'm just a more generous guy now. I have more opportunity to do something now. Like, so when I look at that, and I had to go through that journey on my own, through my family and my own mindset, you have this invincibility feeling, and then you have to kind of like flip it's just a substance of who you already are, not what makes you who you are. So tell me a little about that journey for you and how faith played a part in all that,
Yeah.
and what that journey is.
I'm still new to the whole religion thing, but I think for me, every Sunday for the last month and a half, 2 months that I've been consistently going, I go in the morning to Flatirons, and I know Andy goes there. I think he's been going there for the last year and a half, right? 2 years.
That is my church.
And it's more relaxing to hear and see other people that that have. I think people go there. There's a lot of struggling people I've talked to, and they go there to relax and listen and learn. And for me, it's a growing. For me, I'm growing every single day, so I'm learning. And for me, I enjoy it. I sit down, I get to listen to Pastor Jim. He talks about real world scenarios, comparing it to the Bible, and I find it very relaxing for that hour without me being on my phone. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Have you found, since you've kind of started getting into faith, like a shift in any of those things that maybe you struggled with, or do you hear maybe God calling you to something, or I don't know.
I think I'm a little bit more relaxed, and I focus on my family a lot more, and that's I definitely give credit when you see a dad. This is the I want to be like him, especially what you do for your family and your daughter. Every Tuesday, you guys go get pho. You prioritize. You put your phone down, and I think for me, going to Flatirons and then seeing that has been a wonderful experience, because I wouldn't be the dad I am today if I didn't meet you. So, and I truly believe that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. I'm grateful, man. I'm so grateful. Andy, I know you got to get going here soon. I'm going to go ahead and ask you the same question, because I've also seen faith kind of influence your life, where maybe just, you know, alleviating some stresses and things like that, or things that maybe would get so wrapped up. I've seen you be able to give over control and kind of like let some things kind of go and give them to God. What has that been like for you, and how's it kind of helped you maintain a balance here?
A huge blessing, honestly. You know, the personal relationship that I have with Jesus has just been a huge shift of how I saw things, how I controlled things, how again I got in my own way. I give it all to my faith, and I know that the Lord has got my back. And with that, every Sunday is a reset for me going into the new week. It's something I cherish going to, even if my wife can't go with me, I'm still going to be there.
Yep.
The message is great. It's the worship part that gets you to shed a tear about, you know, that this last week was really trying. You know, there's always something that's trying to get in your way. And if you're helping it, it's just a huge issue. So I'm just grateful that I could find something, wishing I'd have gone back, you know, 10, 15 years ago. I'd probably have a completely different life going forward. But at this point, it's been amazing to have that personal relationship with God.
Yeah, I've seen that in you.
Yeah.
I find it funny when we try to take control, we lose control, and when we give up control, everything tends to fall into place that we were kind of worried about. And I've kind of watched that happen in your life. And so I know you got to get going here, Andy. The last question I kind of have for you, I actually had some more, and I'd love to dive into them. And Austin, if you're okay staying for a little bit, I'll get in a few more questions with you. But, you know, standing for greatness in the Mile High, looking to influence and be influenced, or inspired, sorry, not influenced, by an influencer. Andy, what do you believe is, when you look at, if you're looking to inspire the audience right now, and you want to tell them, you know, what you've accomplished and achieved and what standing for greatness means. And guys, I don't want to just say Andy's, you know, he's a good roofing sales guy. I believe he might be one of the top in the nation. We go to these big conferences and these companies tell us our numbers. Well, he meets those numbers individually as a person more than some of the top roofing companies out there in the nation there. So when I'm saying these things, we're not just talking to somebody that's, you know, just doing it. He's done it in a very high fashion. But when you want to tell the audience here what it looks like to, and you want to inspire them, what is standing for greatness look like in your eyes? And if you were going to say, hey, this is something I would want you to hold true to, what is that for you?
That's a great question. Getting up and doing the right thing every time, and you say it always, doing in always. For me, just giving what I've got, you know, not just showing up half-time at 50% and giving 110% is a big way in doing so. And I think for a lot of people out there, you might find yourself in an industry that you either love or you don't love, and finding something new. Like I ask God every single day, what's the best thing for me going forward? And somehow it appears, and you'd be surprised if you listen, you'll hear the right things that you should be doing. So standing for greatness is something that we as a company feel is something everyone can do, but it's giving your all to do that. Mm-hmm. And without that, you'll find yourself that you're not standing for greatness.
I will attest to that. I've never seen Andy do anything in his life less than 110%. Now, it never beat me in ping pong, no matter how much percent you were given. But hey, sometimes 110%
that's the only thing
still doesn't get you to the finish line. But
it's the only thing I've done 50-50 is beat this guy at ping pong.
I don't know about that, but that's okay. Those are back in the day. Tennis is another one.
Tennis, he's got me 100%.
Okay, so
Tennis.
Andy, honestly, man, thank you for everything you've done for Red Rock Roofing. I love what this has done for your life too. I believe this has been an absolute reciprocal relationship, and you're definitely going to be one of the GOATs out there for a very long time. So if you got to get out of here, thank you very much.
Yeah, man, appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
See you soon.
Yep. Austin,
Good seeing you, Andy.
take care, man.
You too, man.
All right, Austin, I just have a few more questions for you.
All right.
You know, being the young guy and 25 and just growing and learning faith and, you know, the greed thing you talked about, I truly couldn't think of somebody I've watched, you know, go more from zero to hero. Somebody who came in, had no idea where their life was headed to now have all these options and choices that you get to utilize in life, and you get to choose where they're directed. And I know, you
Yeah.
know, like any person who maybe came across fame fairly quickly, whether it's social media, financially, anything like that, you've got to learn how to manage it. And so I know this year investing in things like that is a big thing for you. With all that, how do you balance the same ambition that you've been carrying with humility in your day-to-day choices? How do you stay humble in everything you do and keep the ambition moving forward all the time?
Yeah. I think over this year and last year, my main goal to like balance that is to help other people out. So if that's like I tell you, Steve, is giving other people opportunities for inspections. Like, hey man, can you go do this? And then they're super grateful because again, when you start off in the roofing industry, it's a little bit slower, right? So like you're kind of building your network, and everyone has bills and stuff like that. So if I'm able to help another guy out, say, hey, do you want to go look at this with me? I love that. Like I seriously love, seeing these guys that, are still trying to build up their network and they want to come and learn. And I think at the end of the day, my goal is to help everyone out. And like, man, I've never told anyone no on my secrets. I'm like, copy exactly what I do and you'll be successful, right?
I think you have been very open about
Yeah.
your success, and I've watched you grow from, and I hate to keep saying it, but I think that's what makes us vulnerable, and it's the story we want to tell people is, listen, I was greedy and now I'm not. We all know the story of Scrooge, right? It's like,
Yeah.
and how far has that story made it, right? There's this greedy old guy that gives one day and he's made it,
Yeah.
internationally for hundreds of years, I think. But at the end of the day, it's like I have watched you
Yeah.
take your success and pass it down to others, helping other roofing companies, helping anybody who wants it or needs it. Take the time to do it, open it.
Yeah.
And man, I have just seen so much pour into your life and your fatherhood and your mentorship and your leadership. One goal that Austin and I had, there was a time where he had a leadership position and it didn't go so good, and I said that's okay, we just need more growth. And so then next year we said, hey, let's focus on leadership skills. And every time this kid puts his mind to something, he just goes for it, and he doesn't let anything stop him, and he doesn't let anything slow him down. Yes, he gets in his mind, and that's
Oh
kind of a
yeah.
full-time job, but I watch you take every challenge you've ever been given, whether you've fallen or not. You pick it back up and you run with it. And that to me is inspiring. When I think of inspiring people, especially young kids, we're talking about a 25-year-old who's bought a house, paid off all his vehicles, still more to go, and just not stopping here. Um,
And I also think like telling other people, like the roofing company, Red Rock Roofing, it gives you an opportunity to grow, right? Like you said, you don't focus on, hey, what can you do for me for the first month you're here? You're like, hey, well, what can we do to support you? And like I said, anyone who's come in here, we barely have any turnover. Majority of them do succeed because, they have a bunch of guys that can feed them and help them out. And it's not like, hey, you go knock a bunch of doors and call it good, right? And
yeah,
that's
it's not how
from
can
you.
you help me?
Yeah,
It's how can I help you?
exactly.
And
And so it
we
starts
love
from
that
the top.
mentality. And one thing I tell these guys, it's good to be smart with your money. I tell a lot of business owners this, it's smart with your money. Your employees aren't going to fill it. I don't want to fill your money problems. You don't want to fill mine. And if they're just not there, then we don't have to fill those problems and we can just keep moving forward. And so, long story short, I've seen you pick up everything that you've ever dropped, pick it back up and run even faster with it. And I couldn't be more proud of you for that. So, last question here. It's the same one I asked Andy. You're talking to the audience, you're looking to inspire right now. What does standing for greatness mean to you in life, in
Yeah.
business, and family? If you were going to tell the people how you got to where you are by standing for greatness, what does that
Yeah.
look like to the audience?
I think standing for greatness for me is giving back to everyone. The more you give back, the more you're going to give back. And if that's either, being honest on a roof inspection, showing up to, people's events, or, just being a good, genuine person, I think standing for greatness will go down to everyone else. People want to be, I want to be like you. I inspire to be like you as, a dad, a business owner, everything like that. And so for me, I have to, be honest, help everyone out. And again, I think the more you help everyone, the more you're going to get back. And I think standing for greatness is being that guy at the top that helps everyone, not the guy that's cocky and coming in like I'm the best of the best.
Yeah. And Austin, I will say you've done a really good job at that.
Yeah.
Proud to have you on this team, and
Heck yeah.
I'm
Proud to
super
be
grateful.
here. Heck yeah.
Well, everybody, once again, my name is Steve with Red Rock Roofing. I'm the host of Standing for Greatness in the Mile High. If I had to tell you what Standing for Greatness is in my own words, it's our mission here at Red Rock Roofing. I'm always driven with purpose, loving always in all ways within a culture of selflessness. Waking up every morning to do the right thing, being the dad, the husband, the leader, the father, the business owner, the best that I know I can be. And so, guys, check us out next time where we're going to bring on more influencers that'll look to inspire you and help the communities.